It's Dads, Lads and Kebabs.
Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to episode 6 of Dads, Lads and Kebabs.
Woohoo! 6 already.
Today's episode is going to be we're going to talk about our family, our children. You know, the birth. We're going to talk about the pregnancy. We're going to talk about becoming a dad.
Have you been pregnant, Niall? Oh my God, you should be famous.
Once or twice. After a few curries, I feel pregnant.
Yeah, the belly arrives. It's like, whoa. Anyway, how have you been this week? You been all right?
I'm all right. What a busy week. Pretty busy. Yeah. Trying to cram a few workouts in there. I'm on a little calorie deficit at the moment, so trying to cut down on eating.
Standard.
So that's a challenge. More coffee, less eating. So it's always there's an up and down side to that.
If there wasn't coffee in the world, I think the world would be a worse place, to be fair.
When did you get into coffee?
This is a funny story, actually. We should have talked about it last week when we were talking about our youth. Anyway, I was doing my GCSE exams. I was 16. I was stressed. And I was obviously going every other day to school just for my exam for 2 hours in the hot hall that we were in, all the tables, and then we were going home again. So basically I thought, get into coffee, why not? This is what people do when they're stressed. They have coffee. I even started smoking as well at that point. For 3 months, I smoked for 3 months thinking it was going to help with my exams and calm me down, but it didn't. It was shit. It tasted like dirt, so I fucked it off. But anyway, we're not talking about smoking. We're talking about coffee.
I never knew that.
Yes, I smoked. I don't regret it because it was a very long time ago. It was like 25 years ago. And it only lasted 3 months. Didn't like it really, just gave it up. All my friends smoked at the time, so it seemed to be like an easy progression, really. They went out for fags. And so I did, sort of thing. But yeah, first coffee I ever had was the dark Maxwell House coffee. Yeah.
Ugh, cigarette coffee. That tastes like cigarettes.
I know. Well, it's an easy progression, isn't it, into the fags. Coffee fag, you know. And I used to put loads of milk in first because I thought, I don't want to burn it, because some coffee, it gets burnt when it gets too hot. You know, when you put the initial water in. And it was all right at the time. Obviously, now I've progressed into better coffee. So, but yeah, 16 I was. The finer things, yes. Did you know there's a newer Zero out? A newer Zero coffee. It's like a... Wait there. I'll show you. I saw it advertised yesterday and I took a picture because I want to go find it in Tesco. And I haven't been able to find it yet. Right. Hopefully you'll be able to see this. It's like ground...
What is it? Groundsmith.
Groundsmith coffee. But it's basically, what I can understand, it's the grinded beans.
Very nice, sir.
Probably a bit like the coffee bags that they had. Have you tried them? Coffee bags.
I've had one, yeah.
I've still got some in the cupboard. Yeah, they're all right.
It's a slower process then.
Yeah, you got to wait 3 minutes for it to come out. Although it does smell amazing. But
do you still
something missing?
Do you still pull and sniff?
Oh, when I open the packet. Oh. If you follow me on Snapchat, Spooky272, you will see me quite regularly. Whenever I open a new pot of a Zero, it's got to be done. It's tradition for me to smell and film it. And I go, oh. Coffee orgasm, that's what it is.
Every day.
No, just when you open it. But yeah, some smell dirty from the start. Yeah.
Anyway, not coffee chat. We're not selling coffee here.
Yeah. So, as you are the newest member of the Dad Squad, so that's a good word, isn't it? Dad Squad.
Dad Squad.
Whereabouts or how did you find out that your missus was pregnant? Was it planned? or did it just?
It was planned.
Oops,
It was,
oops.
it was planned. It was planned.
Right.
Yeah. So she told me I was working at the time, and she said I think it was on a half day anyway. We finished work, and we went to Pizza Hut, and she said, "I'm going to take you out for lunch." Random as it was, she took me out for lunch. Went to Pizza Hut. Anyway, she said, "I've got something to tell you." Had no idea. Was not expecting that. Anyway, she told me. She said she's pregnant. Ruined my Pizza Hut experience. Ruined it. After that, the pizza come, and I said, "Look, can you put it in a box? I want to take it home. I don't want to sit here." So we went home. I was over the moon, ecstatic the fact that I was going to be a dad. Terrified, absolutely terrified. I think, in my younger years, I always thought, am I going to be a dad? I think that questioned my mind a lot. Am I going to be a dad? Am I going to be a good dad? When is it going to happen? Am I going to be one of those dads when he's like, mid-40s? I didn't know. And I didn't know everything that it entailed. So, yeah, she told me. And you know what? It was probably one of the best days of my life. The fact that I was told I was going to be a dad.
But you see, the initial stage when you find out is obviously she probably told you at like 5, 6, 7 weeks pregnant. She probably was. And obviously it is 50-50 that you lose the baby or keep the baby until like week 12, which is that's scary.
And it's slow. Time goes really slow.
It's like you're just counting down the minutes until that 12-week stage where you go for your first scan. And you're like, whew, the heartbeat is there. You hear it for the first time and you're like, But
when
scary.
you go for that first scan, it still wasn't real for me.
No.
So I went for that scan and I was just petrified that was my child on the screen. I was just. It's a whole new world. So it's all new, isn't it? And nothing. I think once you become a parent, nothing is like it was before. Nothing. Everything changes.
Oh no. Your whole life is no more. This person has come into your life, and that is number one priority. Forget everything else. You have to keep this little human alive and to try and do the best for it. Mm-hmm. And it depends on the sort of person you are. If you were ready for that, then you obviously have a good job trying to achieve that. But if you're someone that, say, had a baby by accident, because not all babies are planned, you're obviously still with a partner, but you're like, some people would not have a clue where to start. But it is very scary. Very scary.
It is. And there is, do you know what? Anybody that's going to become a parent or any parent will tell you that no advice that anybody gives you, just follow your own path. You're going to do what you're going to do. Don't listen to everybody. Take tips from everybody, but you learn your own way and you learn how to become a parent in your own way. And, you do something and you question it and you're like, oh, shit, should I have done that? Am I a bad parent for doing that? I remember giving my daughter a dummy, and I was always that. My daughter's not having a dummy. It's not happening, And as soon as I gave her it, I was like, oh, my God, am I a bad parent for giving her a dummy? And I was actually like, no, do you know what? It's probably one of the best things I did.
Yeah, there is that stigma about dummy, because apparently if they have dummy too much when they're young, their mouth develops wrong, doesn't it? It grows and forms because they're... you can't see that on the podcast, but for those that are listening, I am doing like a weird fish impression. And To
be fair, most birds look like that these days anyway. They go for that look, so it's fine.
Niall, you can't say that.
Oh, okay.
They're going to hunt you down, these women, and beat you.
The trout pal.
Why do women do that? Why? It's not attractive.
Yeah, well, no. What about you? When did you first find out of your first child? What happened? When? Tell me why.
obviously, the child was planned at this point. And I remember it was a Sunday morning. I was downstairs in the living room playing FIFA on my, I think Xbox 360 at the time. And my ex-wife came down and she showed me the stick, and it was pregnant, and I was like, yes, because obviously we'd been trying a couple of months, and
my balls work.
yeah, that was always the thought of me. What if I can't have children? What am I going to do? What will happen? I don't want to adopt, really. Obviously, you can still make a good life out of it, but what if they don't work? And that's always, for me, that was always in the back of my mind. And as soon as she was pregnant, I'm like, yes, they work, like you say. Finally, my balls work. Yay. And I phoned my mum and dad straight away. I think she was about 5 weeks at the time, 5 weeks pregnant. Obviously, we hadn't been doctored yet, so we couldn't like give an accurate guess of how long she was. But yeah, I phoned my mum, told her, and my dad, and they were happy. Yeah, I don't think we told many people until that 12 weeks. And yeah, when I saw the baby in the first time on the scan, I'm like, wow, there's my little boy. Obviously, we couldn't tell at the time if it was a boy or girl. But yeah.
I knew. So, I knew off the bat. I knew.
What, in your mind?
From day one, I was like, it's a girl. It's a girl. I know it. It's a girl.
Yeah.
So I knew.
What made you think that? It's just in your head. You thought, right, I'm producing a little girl here.
I don't know. In my head, I think I just prepared myself mentally for a daughter. So then, because I was like, you know what? I know it's going to be hard. I know it's going to be hard. I grew up, growing up with my sister. My sister she's a handful. So I was like, great. I know I'm getting the man upstairs, whoever he is, has sent me a girl, and I'm blessed. Every day is a privilege. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's in a smile.
What about the birth view? What happened in going in the start, the water's breaking, all that sort of jazz? What happened?
Well, I think we'd been in the day before he was actually born. We went in a couple of times. Like one of them was like 5 a.m. We went to hospital because she was getting pain. They checked her out. They said, no, you're not 5 centimeters yet. You got to go home again. We went back. I think the day she gave birth, 3 times we were in that hospital. So the third time when they said, yep, you're like 8 or 10 centimeters. So they kept her in, put her in the actual proper ward, the room. She got laid in the bed, but her waters hadn't broke at this point. So obviously, that's the thing. They're waiting. As soon as the waters broke, it's all actions go, isn't it? Like full steam ahead. But they were putting on this like the gym balls, the big massive balls that you do weights and stuff on. Yeah, you bounce on. Yeah, yoga balls, whatever they are. They had one of them in there, and I remember she was laying on that, and then suddenly the water went everywhere with some other sludge and stuff, and I'm like, oh, nice. And then obviously the people come in, right, this is it, let's go. And yeah, so at the time, I think she was on gas and air at the beginning, which was, I tried it, did do nothing. Maybe I was breathing in wrong, I don't know. But yeah, so then that didn't really work, and she was down for an epidural, but at that point it hadn't reached that far, so they used is it pethidine in the leg, the injection in the leg? Pethidine.
Yeah, pethidine.
Yeah, and when they put it in, I had to hang my head out the window. I nearly spewed all over her. For some reason, the sight of this needle going in her leg, I was like, I was retching. I had to run, and the midwife come over to me, and she was saying, "You're right," as her head was out the window, because at this point it was like it was the middle of June, and it was fucking hot, and obviously the delivery ward is sweating. They got the heating on, obviously, because baby's being born. Wow, I nearly fainted. I was like, ooh, no. But this was, and then about 8 hours later, we had two shift changes of all the nurses, and they come and gone, and new people come in. They were all amazing, by the way, the nurses and the midwives, and such an amazing job they do down the hospital. And then it reached to a point where he wasn't in position properly. He wasn't coming out, and they were obviously monitoring the heartbeat, but his heartbeat was like 200. So this was like dangerous. And then the doctor come in and said, right, we need a C-section now. So this was all scary for me. I'm like, oh my God. Like I had to suddenly, they took her out on the bed, wheeled her in the operating theatre. I had all these forms to sign just in case she died, and then I'm not going to sue the hospital. And I'm like, what the fuck? So then I had to quickly run and go and get changed, obviously into the gown and that, and they brought me in the delivery suite. So they didn't give her an epidural, they gave her a spinal. So obviously injection straight in the spine to numb everything. Basically an epidural without the top up. And yeah, they saw the stomach on the table. That was nice. But they wouldn't let me go above the sheet because I was obviously head end. Yeah, they bring the sheet up, and I couldn't really see over that. But I did look round, and I saw the little table where they put her stomach on, like all the intestines and that. Then they got the baby out, and there you go. Yeah, yeah. Move out of the way. Move the liver. And yeah, then my son was born. He was crying. I'm like, phew, he's breathing. And they wrapped him up and gave him straight to me, and I had tears, and yeah, it was good moment.
So, Albert, my partner, she was induced.
Okay.
So she had to have something called pessary, I think, inserted.
Nice.
Yeah. Anyway, that brings on the labour. If I'm wrong, if there's people listening and going, "You're so fucking wrong, mate," I'm sorry. All right. Anyway, so she was induced. She had to have a pessary. That went on for hours before we were taken. We started up on one ward, and she was on a bed. She was in a room with loads of other people being induced or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think it got to about 4 o'clock in the afternoon or 6 o'clock. I think it was. They took us round to the labour room. And we went in the room, and there was a few chairs, and her bed was in the middle. It was like a performance. So we sat in the chairs, and nothing happened for a bit. And like one lady come in with the midwife, and anyway, they were going to break her waters. Nice. So anyway, they did the thing with it. Yeah, it's not Vera Drake, man. Jesus. They went in to break a water. Anyway, I've never heard my missus scream the way she did. And to be honest, I remember that scream now. And that haunts me, that noise, because it's, they're in a lot of pain. It's not discomfort, it's pain. So it's one of those things that you just don't really get over, I think. And do you know what? Thinking about it now, is hard because we were in the room for a long time.
No, I was messing about with his hair at the moment.
It's all right, mess, man. I know it needs cutting. So right, labour.
Yeah.
About 6 o'clock, they broke her waters. Okay, and then obviously she started getting the contractions, and then she was given pethidine, she was given gas and air. The labour started to increase, but nothing was happening. Nothing at all was happening. So we went through one lot of midwives, and the next staff come on. And then...
like us, yeah.
Bearing in mind, obviously, this is New Year's Eve. So,
oh, yeah. Yeah.
6 o'clock, 6 o'clock New Year's Eve, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, new staff come on, new midwife. And then, nothing was still happening. And then they give her the injection in the spine, but I think they're called an anaesthetist. I think they're called the people.
Yeah,
that do
the anaesthetic. Yeah, that person. Yeah.
Yeah, he come in to do the spine. Anyway, he missed the spine, and yeah,
No
so
way.
she ended up having to be injected a couple of times. So yeah, I can't imagine the pain. Anyway, I remember being sat on one of those plastic chairs in the corner for hours and hours.
Yeah.
Hadn't eaten anything, hadn't slept because we were at the hospital all the day before. And then, yeah, we went through the night and the build up to midnight. So it was myself, my partner, and her mum.
Yeah.
Anyway, the build up to midnight, and I think it was like 5 to midnight, and all the midwives and the staff got to like their reception bit to celebrate midnight. Anyway, that we didn't celebrate it. We didn't celebrate it that year. We kind of all sat there tired, just hungry. My missus was like half with us, half not with us. So yeah, so I think, and then yeah, third midwife come on shift, and so we was probably approaching about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and her labour pain started to increase, and she was starting to think about pushing at that point. And then I think it must have been the following morning, about 8, 9 o'clock, when the doctor came and said, right, we're either going to prep you for the C-section or we're going to start pushing. Anyway, she started to push that, and from the push-in point, that was 2 hours. 2 hours from that point. And there must have been about 3 or 4 midwives in the room. There was a doctor. My daughter had the grips, what they call forceps grips or something like that.
Yeah, the forceps, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. She had the suction. She had the suction, not the grips.
Because those forceps and the sucky thing, they can damage the skull, can't they? The shape initially. Yeah. So they have to be careful when they're trying to suck the baby out.
So they got her out anyway, and they pulled her out, and then all of a sudden there was like a big sort of tidal wave on the floor, like someone kicked a mop bucket over. And then, literally, like I said, but they wrapped her up, took her out of the room. So that few seconds where they take her out of the room, because they were doing the suction on the fluid in her mouth.
Yeah, to make sure she's breathing all right.
Oh, that honestly, my heart at that point was just sitting out of my chest.
You're waiting for the cry, aren't you?
Yeah, that's what you're waiting for. You're waiting for the noise.
Yeah.
And soon as she cried, God, then I cried. My missus, bless her, she was passed out on the bed. Her mum was crying. It was an emotional roller coaster. And then they come in. She's all wrapped up in a blanket, and they go, "Here you go." And I'm like, "Wait, what?" They're like, "Yeah, here's your child." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." Are we starting now? I didn't know. I thought like I've got a few days, leeway
to prepare yourself.
Is there a calling off period? Something like that.
Returns after 14 days.
So they were like, right, you need to get her dressed now. And I remember getting her dressed like I was playing Operation. I was like, so slow, gentle, because you think they're breakable. Okay, you treat them like glass. You're so gentle. And the midwife came over and was like, "Do you want some help?" And I was like, "Yes, please." And she was like, "Right, this, and here you go. She's ready. She needs feeding." So they gave her some milk. Oh, man. And I was drained. I wasn't with it. I was drained.
Yeah,
and do you know one of the funniest things about our birth, right, was my partner's friend. He was in the local area and she was giving birth.
Okay.
And he dropped off 2 double cheeseburgers from McDonald's. And in my head, I wanted to come back into the room and be like, "Sorry, mate, just pick some mayo chicken for 99p. So,
that wouldn't have gone down well.
In the room, there was 2 double cheeseburgers. And I remember thinking, they've been sat there for about 2 or 3 hours now. I'm still going to eat them. I'm starving.
Did they stink?
Yeah. No, they were heaven. They were heaven. So that was my story of the birth, anyway. That was and then that's it. You're in dad world. Then it all happens quickly. My missus was there for 24 hours, and next morning, all allowed to come home, car seat, everything, bags everywhere. and that's it. Away you go.
And you get home and it starts.
You get home and you shut your door, and then all of a sudden, you know, you're just alone. You, your partner, and the baby. And
did you have lots of family come round, or did you go round to people's houses to say, "Look at my baby"?
No, we had lots of visitors. Lots of visitors come round, bringing gifts, bringing
it's
food.
Nice, isn't it?
Which was so welcomed. And it's nice. And you're sat there, and I was so proud to say, "This, wow, this little thing is mine." It's crazy. The emotion is crazy, and then it settles in, and then all of a sudden, that's it. You're just a parent now. You're a parent like everybody else. You know, like your parents or your grandparents or anybody.
Yeah. You're a big boy
it.
now.
You're in the air. Time to put on your big boy pants.
What time was your daughter born?
She was born at 11:15 on New Year's Day.
In the morning, yeah?
Yeah, she was the first girl to be born in Northamptonshire on New Year's Day. So the hospital gave us a massive hamper full of stuff.
Yeah? Oh, nice.
They were amazing.
Yeah.
Being the first girl born. So, yeah.
And the reason I'm asking this is because my son was born at 11:59 p.m. And obviously, my missus was... obviously, she had the operation. She had the C-section. They had to sew her up. And then, obviously, they took her back to a ward, and she had to have sleep, and baby needed food. So I think I went home. I left the hospital about 2:30 in the morning, I think. And I got home. I remember going home, and my dogs were there. House was empty. It was all quiet. And I sat on my sofa, made myself a coffee, and I thought, wow. Like, I was so proud that I now have a baby. And it was so surreal, just sat there in the dark with my dogs looking at me weird. I think I even cried, maybe, just sat there in tears, being proud, drinking me coffee at 2:30 in the morning. So, and I went to bed so happy. And then obviously the next morning I got up, I went down like 10 or 11 in the morning and stayed there for a few hours. And then I think she came home that night, so I went back to pick her up. So how did you have that stage where you went home, or is it because it was daytime, like earlier lunchtime, did you just stay there?
No, see, I think, she was born at 11:15. I think I stuck around till about 2:30 in the afternoon. And then I went home for a little bit. They were keeping her in overnight for the following day anyway.
Oh, okay.
Because obviously she had to have stitches and everything. And
Split.
Anyway.
Rip. Sorry. Lovely.
Yeah. So I went home for a couple of hours. My mum come over, put me food and everything, and then I was like, right, I'll go back. So I went back, and then I think her dad come, and her stepmom, and all met the baby, which is lovely. And then I think it got to about 6 or 7 o'clock that evening, and I was like, right, I'm going to go home. And like you, went home, and I was just like, this is the last time the house is going to be quiet like this.
Yeah.
You know? So I went home, and I think I just slept. And then, but I kept waking up because I kept having to ring my missus just to make sure she was all right, the baby's all right. And that moment, I was like, I know everything's changed because my responsibility feeling changes. Where I was like, right, I'm checking on them both, constantly.
Yeah.
And the next morning, went to pick them up and brought them home.
Yeah. And what was that like, putting them in the car seat? Did you know how to use the car seat? Where to strap it in? Put it upside down.
No one tells you that, but you're not allowed to leave the hospital without a car seat.
No, you're not.
And then you put her in and in the car, and my mum was driving. My mum drove us back, and I was made sure my mum drove at like 10 miles an hour.
Yeah. Be careful.
You just learn then. You just learn, because they cry and you learn what they want and you feed them and you go. everything, like bottle cleaning and, you know, making sure the milk's the right temperature and all that sort of stuff. And
Yeah. Did you have a
just
little
find
a little machine to put all your bottles in, like the sterilizing unit when you
sterilizer.
plug in? Yeah, and you have like you can put 6 bottles in it, and people bought loads of stuff for us. All
Shit like
these
that, yeah.
shit for my kitchen and loads of bottle cleaners and stuff.
Yeah, we had it.
Yeah.
We had everything. We had a bottle warmer. We had, you know, and then we had like all sorts of stuff. And do you know what? I'll say this: people that are becoming parents, you don't need half of that shit.
No,
You
you don't.
don't. It's all there. You know, if someone says to you, buy a prep machine, they're really good. Don't buy one. They're crap.
What's a prep?
Right?
What's a
Don't.
prep machine?
A prep machine is where you put the powder in the bottle, and then obviously the prep machine then delivers the right amount of ounces at the right amount of temperature. Shit, it's just crap.
Just put the powder in the milk, shake it up, put it in the microwave.
Job done.
Job done. That's
Job
all I
done.
ever did.
Yeah.
It's that
And
simple.
until you learn to do all that sort of stuff, you just end up buying all this shit, and you're just like, we don't need it. And then, do you know what? When it comes to getting rid of it, and you think, right, we don't need this anymore, we don't need this anymore, you end up squashing it down so little, and it becomes an art form. Do you know, like when you left the house and you was like, right, nappies, wipes, creams,
7 bags.
Yeah. You start off with loads of bags, you end up with one.
Yeah. Bottle in your back pocket.
Yeah.
Pre-made. Leave it out in the sun, warm it up. There you go.
Yeah.
Suck on that.
God, it's magical. And do you know what? Even now, as they get older, I mean, your kids are older, so
I know.
Where would you say that your best years of being a dad are? Like, where did you I mean, obviously you enjoyed all of it, but do you think now that they're older because you can do more and adventure more with them, do you like that aspect, or do you miss the younger stages?
I used to think that as they grow older, it would be so much easier. But it's not, because they're all older anyway, like 14, 16 and 17. They all want picking up wherever they go. They want dropping off. They want going to work, picking up from work at stupid times. Then they want to go see their friends. They want to stay out late. Why can't I stay out late? It's not fair. I'm 16. I want to do what I want. You can't tell me what to do. And it's the stress for the last year or so, 2 years, is slowly progressing. And my 14-year-old is now catching up with all that shit as well. And it is. I do miss the times when I see old photos and they were little and you can play with them at the park, and they looked at you so lovingly, and you're everything to them because they can't do nothing really without you. So when they're small, like 5 and 6, and they're cute, and you buy nice little clothes for them, and you take them to the park, and that's the best thing in the world. You buy them an ice cream when they're playing on the swings. Oh, I do miss those times. Obviously now I can go out and do stuff with them and take them places. Obviously more because they're bigger, and it's a totally different aspect of being children, really, and being a parent. It's gone from you looking after them, and it's now a case of you just guiding them a little bit as they do what the fuck they want, and it don't matter about you anymore. So it is it's interesting. Obviously both have good and bad points, but I don't know, you just gotta go with it, really. There's challenges at all ages, so yeah. But you've got all that to come. Was it your daughter 3, isn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you got a while yet.
Yeah, my daughter's 3. But I'm enjoying all the good times at the moment. You know, I get the nice times where I get to see all those things where she's growing, and, you know, we get to go out like you, put on the nice outfits and just do the nice things. And I love all that. And I love the fact that she's learning something new. But her attitude is slowly starting to come out.
A bit sassy.
And I can see traits in myself and my partner. And my daughter gives as good as she gets. And she can give. And she'll put me in my place. 100% put me in my place. if I say no, she'll go no. No means yes.
Do you know what? I can't wait.
But yeah, she definitely
for you, for your daughter when she's like 11 and 12. If she's already got attitude now, my God, wait until she's that age. You'll be like, ugh, want to strangle her. Because girls have attitude
at the moment,
early.
I can feel it. I can feel it already. She's going through that whole. She likes makeup and she's a girly girl. She's definitely a girly girl. But then at the same time, you know, you'll see her with a Nerf gun in her hand. So she's best of both worlds.
So makeup and Nerf guns.
She's so adventurous. Yeah, makeup and Nerf guns, and she likes climbing and jumping off stuff. And do you know what? That's one of the things that scares me as a dad, is the fact that even now when she goes to the park, I'm like this behind her on a slide or on some stairs. And I'm like, I can't help myself, you know. My missus tells me off, so no, stop, leave it, she's fine. And I'm like, no, I can't just let her fall or let her jump. And now, like, I remember when I was a kid, like I always used to have like bruised legs. I was covered in bruises all the time from falling and jumping and whatever. My daughter gets a bruise now from jumping or something, and I'm like, what's happened? Are you okay? What's going on? What have you done? You got another bruise on your leg? And I'm like, my missus like, it's fine. Kids get bruises. They're children. They jump and they climb and they do everything. And I'm like, I know, but I can't. Even now, like my daughter went for her injections recently. I couldn't go because the first time that we went for injections, like the noise that come out of her mouth and the look she gave me broke my heart. She was she was petrified.
Did she have the MMR jab?
Yeah, the MMR, yeah.
Yeah, that's a fucker, that. My boys had that, and I had to take them into the doctors to do it because my ex wouldn't do it. And obviously, you hold the leg. For me, it's like, it's got to be done, so you're having it, basically. I might be no. It's like, I'll hold you down, you stick the needle in. If you, they cried, but they're obviously like 2 years old, so they're gonna cry anyway. They still cry at food, so. But it's got to be done, Niall. Sometimes tough love is needed for certain things. It's better your daughter to cry for 1 minute and have an injection that's gonna possibly stop her getting ill than her being ill for however long. What would you rather do? 1 minute?
I mean, I get that, but the initial process for me is too much. The fact of somebody holding my daughter down while they put a needle in her.
I held mine down.
Oh, I tell you what, I wish. Oh God, if anything, I wish I could take back that pain of her going through that, because it was awful to watch. So I've never been since. Anyway, I've never been since, and I never will watch her have another injection. No. Can't do it. No, absolutely not. So obviously your boys are older.
Yeah.
I want to ask you: have you talked to your boys about girls? Have you given the dad chat?
My youngest, my 14-year-old, he's always hang around with girls. Got girls' numbers in his phone. Trying to talk to girls. Yeah. They say crushing. Oh, that's my crush. They do that at school, I think, which is, it's a bit cute, but I didn't think crush was a thing anymore. But yeah, he crushes on lots of girls, apparently. But yeah, my youngest. My oldest doesn't really talk about girls that much, to be fair. He used to, I think about 4 or 5 years ago, there was a couple of girls that actually had the same name, which was quite funny. 2 different girls, same first name. He used to like them, and he would go all giggly as well when we talk about them. So, which I thought was nice. But yeah, I haven't actually had. In my house, we're quite open. Like, nothing's off limits. Some people might find that a bit strange. Like, I'll swear like a trooper in front of my kids. Any words, nothing's off limits. Because I know I shouldn't really, but that's how we are in our house. We're very open and very opinionated. And so we talk about lots of things. So if there's a banana or something, we'll talk about condoms, like stick that on it. And it's just everything is it's all good. There's nothing really off limits. And, you know, so yeah, I haven't sat my boys down and said, right, this is what you do. You get your dick hard and then you put a condom on and you stick it. I haven't done that chat. But, you know, you can watch porn on Twitter now, so it's probably fine. They know what they're doing. But yeah, I don't know. Do people still have the chat? Do they sit them down?
It'd be interesting to hear if we have any older dads that have actually had the chat with their kids and talk about it. Because I remember my dad once. He would drop me to school, I think, many years ago, and he just said, "Look, when it comes to girls, you treat them with respect. Don't be stupid, you know." And that's it. There wasn't much about it. I more laughed it off than anything else. But
yeah,
I know deep down he was, you know, being serious. I mean, my mum had chats with me as well, and I remember my mum finding a condom, and I thought I got rid of it really well. I hid it at the bottom of the garden. Bearing in mind,
in the garden.
I put it out in the packet, and do you know what she found? She found the corner of a Durex wrapper. That's all she found. And she was like, well, she knew when my older brother, and so she come to me, and that was it. I remember I was just petrified of talking to my mum about it. Even God, I couldn't talk about girls to my mum. It was one of the things.
Yeah.
But I think now being a dad,
got a man up. Let your missus do it.
Yeah.
I got a very embarrassing story about a condom. Yeah. So with my ex in my old house when I lived with my mum and dad, and we'd had sex like in the morning, and obviously you wear a condom, you go to the bathroom. I used to take it off, wrap it up, like tie it up, and then put it in the bin. Yeah. Do a little knot in it. Yeah. You don't want no jizz coming out, do you? And what I did, I tied it up and left it on the sink. Obviously had a wash, and I forgot about it. Late about 8 o'clock that night, I went in upstairs to go to the toilet, and obviously my mum and dad are home from work. We've had dinner. They've been upstairs. Blah blah. I go into the toilet and I'm about to wash my hands, and I look down, and the fucking condom is still sat there with jizz in, and I'm like, oh my God, my parents have been in the bathroom. I quickly threw that in the bin and hid it. They did not mention it. They did not say a word. Maybe they felt embarrassed. Maybe they didn't want me to be embarrassed, but at least I was using protection, eh?
Yeah, that's it. As long as you be careful.
I could have died though if someone come in and I'm like, oh my God, I was so embarrassed. Like instantly, I think I probably went red. And there was no one there, and I still went red. And I'm like, wow.
The thought of my daughter forever having a boyfriend is, oh God, I am. Have you ever seen the film Bad Boys 2? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Reggie turns up at the front door.
Reggie, that is gonna be me.
Yeah.
I am gonna be grilling that poor little bastard, whoever he is right now. He's probably 3-4 years old somewhere. Telling you, you're fucking getting it, mate. Because that, for me, the thought process behind that, I can never come to terms with that. And you know, I think of my missus' dad. He's lovely. He's like salt of the earth, and he's always been really nice to me. And I thought, I think he didn't grill me. He, obviously I was a lot older, but he didn't grill me. He's always been nice to me, and I think that, I don't know if that's a chat that you could have with your partner's dad or anything about, how did you feel that that you knew that I was dating your daughter, for example, and then obviously found out that because my partner went on her own to tell him that she was pregnant.
You pussy! So, you fucking hid.
No,
you go.
Said,
I'm going to work.
she said, like, I'm gonna go and tell him on my own. I was like, that's probably a good idea. It's a good idea. I was like, I ain't doing
You do
that. But yeah, so
that's when he found out you've been banging his daughter. The realization.
So he's going to listen to this. I can tell. I can
Of
feel
course,
it.
he is. Real talk.
Yeah, so that's it. Being a dad, it's the best. It's one of them things that, you know what, you've got to take the good with the bad. You've got to learn from your mistakes. You're not always going to get it right.
No.
And I think as parents, you've got to work together. You know, whether you're with your partner or not, whether you've split up, I think you've got to sort of just get through it and honestly enjoy your children being young. And honestly, the funny side of it, my daughter does some funny shit. She's funny as she cracks me up all the time.
I would say take lots of photos and film as much as you can.
Mm-hmm. And take advantage of the time that you get, because you never get, they grow so fast. I didn't believe how quick they grow. It was like it goes, I thought it would go quite slow. It doesn't. It goes so quick. I've blinked and my daughter's now 3.
I can't believe she's 3. I remember you telling me you own a baby and I'm like, fucking hell, no. You didn't come across as the person that was ready for dadhood, to be fair.
No, well, I wasn't. I don't think
At
I was.
that time,
anybody's ever completely ready. What you can't complete a checklist before you
tick.
Before you sign up.
Oh, I haven't done that one yet. No, we'll do that later. Yeah, it's difficult.
But I think a lot of the aspect of becoming parents is the fact that you don't stop becoming you. You can still do the things that you do as a person. I mean, look at you. You get up to all sorts. You're a busy man, and but you still make. The thing is about you which I like is the fact that we know how busy you are. We know you've got loads of stuff going on in the background, but yet at the same time you still make time for family time, and you're always out exploring with your kids, and I think that's awesome.
Yeah, it's definitely something that I would never stop, because they're going to be moving out soon, possibly, maybe. Are they listening? Go, leave the house now. And then that time is gone. Like, they'll be doing their own thing. You'll see them maybe once a week when they come around and raid your fridge, and they'll just ring you for money. They'll ring you to, can you take me and pick me up occasionally? And because they're busy doing their own thing, getting jobs, moving in with their friends, partner, whatever. And then you're at one point, you're at the top of the list, and then you become way down the list. After work, partner, friends, sleep, food. And then there's dad at the bottom.
Yeah.
So it is something that you need to get in your head that it is coming. Obviously not for you yet, because you're very early in your dadhood, as it were.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
But I don't think it matters. I don't think it matters where you are in that, in your child's age. I don't think, you never prepare yourself for your child becoming independent. I think the more my daughter grows, the more independent she becomes, the more I feel, she doesn't want daddy for that anymore. She doesn't want help with this, or, and it's heartbreaking. I mean, for you in the old stage, like you said, they're looking at moving out and getting jobs, and, you're just a taxi now. And it's like, you never want them to stop needing you as a parent.
No.
And I think that in itself is, it's difficult to swallow, because it's one of the things that you will never get over. You're always going to be the dad. You're always going to be the first person that, help them when they were crying, or, help them when they got upset about something. And that's great. I love that aspect, but I think I'll never stop wanting to be a number one,
Yeah.
But they don't. Like I said, you become lower in the hierarchy, and before you know it, it'll be like, Dad, can you just pick me up and take me? Or and if you say no, Dad, I hate you.
Yeah, been there. But
so, Mickey, obviously going back, because obviously we've talked about childbirth. You had two births. Were they both the same, or were they just natural births, or what happened?
Obviously, the first one was emergency C-section, and because the first child is a C-section, you have that option in your birthing plan to have another one. You don't have to wait in case it's an emergency. There's obviously
Reopen
issues.
the wound.
Reopen you, yeah, technically, yeah. So we opted for a C-section for the second one as well. So for Leo, my second child, and yeah, we booked ourselves in. And I think we went there 8 a.m. It's weird because we're in this ward with all these other mums. I think there was 3 due for C-sections that morning. So we were there at 8 o'clock. And obviously, if an emergency one happens on the labour ward, that takes priority over one of us. Obviously, you have to wait a bit because that's an emergency that comes first. And we were third on the list. So we were saying, oh, another one's gone. Oh, there's only 2 left, you know. And we went down, I think maybe 11 o'clock, something like that. And after had to wear the gown again. She had the spinal, I think. I think it was a spinal. And this time, it was a bit more chilled. We knew what was happening. We knew the sort of time it was going to happen. And it's pretty chilled. But this time, I saw him come out the belly because I stood up. Because one of the midwives that was in there, she said, "Oh, quick, get up, have a look. Like he's coming out." And they pulled him out, and he was grey. He looked like an alien coming out. He was grey. He was like, "Ah!" Yeah. And yeah, so I actually saw him come out of her belly. So that was quite nice.
Traumatic, I would say.
Healthy. So he was crying straight away. So that issue is gone. But yeah, I was happy. But the problem with him, he was lactose intolerant, which we found out about a month, 2 months into his existence on Earth, as it were. Because he would always have blood in his nappy all the time. We couldn't figure out why. So I think he went to hospital one night. He was there about 12 hours. And yeah, they diagnosed him with having lactose intolerant. So he couldn't have normal milk. He wasn't breastfeeding anymore. And so we got loads of free milk from the NHS for 2 years. So thank you for that. Loads and loads of free milk. Awesome. But yeah, obviously he couldn't have it. He has it now. He has milk now. But I think if he has too much, then he will get a bad belly. But there's no blood anymore. But yeah, it was quite... Obviously, the first 2 months, it's quite scary. Your baby having blood in the nappy all the time with no visible signs. So this was blood coming from the stomach. Because obviously you get blood in the bum area. You think of like colon cancer or bowel cancer or something like that. And obviously in a child, it's very scary.
But I think anything is scary though as a parent. I mean, I think that's one of the struggles of being a parent is the fact that when something's wrong, especially with your child when they're ill or they've got a temperature, you want to fix it instantly. You don't want your child to feel ill. You don't want to feel, because we all know what it's like to feel ill. We know how to sort of, if we feel ill, we know exactly what to do. Yeah. But your child, I mean, it's the same with a temperature. Your child gets hot and they get hot because they're such small human beings.
Yeah.
They get hot very quickly, and you don't know what to do for the better. And I think that's a struggle of being a dad, is the fact that when something's wrong, you don't know how to put it right instantly. And that is a dad instinct, the fact that if something's broken, we fix it. But
eventually,
with a child, eventually, we'll sort it out later. But eventually, you don't know what to do, and you don't know. I mean, how to, if something's broken, you can fix it. But when they're ill, it's not a quick process. No. They're ill, they're tired, they're upset, they're crying, their temperature's fluctuating. You give them the medicine. I mean, another thing is like
your clock. Is it? Yeah, why has it not come down yet? Why is it still temperature? Yeah.
Yeah, always clock watching, and we've got all the medicines, we've got the thermometer, we've got everything. So that's
lined
good.
up.
But I mean, yeah. The only thing my daughter didn't like was, do you remember the nuclear yellow antibiotics?
Yes, I used to like that. It tasted
I
nice
liked it, but
when I
it
was
doesn't
little.
taste like doesn't have the banana taste anymore.
No, it's some weird rancid white goo that is not good.
So my daughter, as soon as I've never looked at somebody while they're projectiling, but my daughter, she would put it in, and all of a sudden it'd just be like, and she'd
Catch.
projectile. Yeah, and it's horrible when they're ill because you just want them back on their feet again, and kids pick up bugs and all sorts. I mean, even now, like when they start nursery and stuff, nursery is like a breeding ground for germs.
That's good though. It's good.
It is good. It's good in a way,
kids,
but not when you're clean. Not when you're dealing with it. I never had a problem changing nappies or anything like that, or nappies. The projectile pooing and things like that. Never bothered me at all. You just change it, clean it up, put it back on. That's it. Job done. It's done.
Yeah, I always changed nappies. Wasn't a problem for me. Always did it.
Watching her be sick, man, that used to break my heart again. What would be, if you was looking at struggles of being a dad, what are your main struggles, would you say? It doesn't have to be when they're babies. It can be now or...
Okay, the main struggle I have now is in my own head. When I read about all the issues going around, like in Northampton, where we live, the stabbings, the attacks, the violence, and obviously my kids are out playing with their friends. Obviously they should be safe with their friends, but you never know. Certain areas they might go to. There is that, for me, that is the real struggle, is, are my kids safe? Are they going to get attacked? Are they going to get hurt? Will they get stabbed? They're not doing anything wrong to anyone, but that is not a reason anymore to get attacked. You could just look wrong. And for me, that is possibly, apart from obviously when they're poorly, when they're little, that is my main struggle. Is I do worry a lot about my children when they're out playing. It's like when they want to go out for the day, it's like, fuck's sake. I'd rather they fucking stayed indoors and never left the house. Bubble wrap them in their house, locking the doors. That was how I would like them to be. But obviously they're not going to be. They're going out, they're expressing themselves in the world, they're seeing their friends. And it is a difficult time when they get to teenage years. They don't want to be home. They want to be out with their friends, playing football, going to skate park, in the woods playing, climbing, seeing boys or girls. It is a scary time. And I think, so yeah, my main struggle is in my own head. And I do worry about the state of the world now because I don't want my kids to be hurt or even die.
I don't think you're alone in that factor. I think many mums and dads out there, I don't think, you never stop worrying as a parent, and you can only raise your child, we can all raise our child to be amazing children. But like you said, it's not about what they're doing. It's about how other people act. And also it's about the influence that other people can have on a child and the pressure. I mean, I think that's another thing that children struggle with, and especially as they get to their teenage years, is pressure to look a certain way, be a certain way, fit into a certain crowd. And like you said, you could just look the wrong way. You could be, you could be into something no one else is, but somebody will take that to as an offense. And I think, like you said, you can, you can move houses, you can move areas, but I think no matter where you live, there's always going to be trouble somewhere. But I mean, we live in a town that it's quite up there for that kind of behaviour. And there's a lot of these issues that go on. And to me, what I think about is what drives a person to think that's okay to do that. What makes a person think, carrying a knife or what goes on in a child's mind to think that they have to carry a knife to protect themselves in the world.
Yeah.
Because you always got to look on the other foot. I think if you know someone that carried a knife and you think, well, what made you want to do that? What makes you think that that's the world that you live in, that to look after yourself and keep yourself safe, that makes you feel better to carry a knife? It just, I mean, it's awful. It's an awful thing to do. And I mean, as a dad, again, myself, of course I worry about the world my daughter's growing up in. And I just think, what can we do as a human race to make people... Because obviously when we were kids, I mean, I used to go out all summer long. I'd be out of the house all the time, and there was no worry,
No.
where your kids were, what they were up to. They were probably just messing around in a river somewhere or things like that. But it's a different world now, and it changes. And, and like I said, I always think social media has a big part to play in that. There's a lot of jealousy out there. There's a lot of anger towards, people that might be better off than you, or, people that have a different, popularity circle. There's a lot that's going on.
Yeah. It's not fun sometimes, is it?
No,
so,
it's not.
To end the show, name me one thing that you would put down as the best thing about being a parent, obviously, at your early times of being a dad. One thing.
One thing about being a parent that I love, okay. I think the favourite thing that I love is the fact that I get to do all the things that I couldn't wait to do. Do you know, like Christmas Day, for example?
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
I get to lay the presents out. So I get to see my daughter's face. Whereas my mum, I used to watch the look on my mum's face when we'd open something that we thought we wasn't getting, things like that. And I get to see the look on my daughter's face. And, my daughter loves the smallest things, but she's overwhelmed by them. You could buy her some crayons. She'd be amazed by it.
Empty cardboard box.
The look on her face. It's not all about the material items, but just even when we go to the park, we go to a new park where she's not been before. The excitement, is just static, and I love that. So seeing her happy is what makes being a parent worth it every day. What about you?
Christmas Day, awesome on birthdays, seeing the look on their face when they get the present they really wanted. But like I say, it's not all about presents, and it is not what I'm going for. I will be going for when I used to collect my children at school. They'd come out of the classroom, teacher would let them go, and they would hold my hand and tell me about their day as they're walking away from school. That's what I miss. Holding hands with my kids. And then
one of the funniest things I've seen about you being a dad was I watched your video recently when you went to Wales.
Okay.
And when you did the big zip line, you've talked about this before, but when you did the big zip line and you got to the bottom of it and you all got off, and I think the guy was like, how was that for you? And you was like, terrifying. And your son was like, that was awesome. Let's do it again.
Yeah, because he was he was little, really little.
Braver than you are now. That's it. Certain things where your children are just braver than you are, and you're just like, God, I miss being like that. Yeah. Well, that was funny. That was a good, funny moment for you. Well, thanks for joining us for episode 6. It's been a different one, and it's been nice.
I've enjoyed this one. I've really enjoyed the chat about the kids, what we go through as parents. I've really, really enjoyed this one, and I hope everyone out there listening can relate to whatever me and Niall have spoken about today.
So until next time, everybody. Deuces.
See you in a bit.